Today on the official Marvel podcast, we get ready for the premiere of Marvel Animation's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, with head writer Jeff Trammell and supervising director Mel Zwyer.
The funny thing is like, regardless of the time, it's always rough being a teenager.
Yeah. I don't know a single teenager who's had it easy.
Plus, New York Times bestselling author Kwame Mbalia and New York Times bestselling illustrator Nicholas Smith join us to discuss their new children's book, Captain America, Brave New World, A Hero Looks Like You.
To have, Nicholas's vision and my vision of Sam Wilson on the page, being heroic, saving the day, imparting wisdom, dropping pearls of knowledge, being incredible, being Captain America. It's great.
I'm Evan Narcissus.
And I'm Quinn Lamar.
And this is the official Marvel podcast.
Evan, when you think about a Spider-Man animated series, which series comes to mind first?
Well, the first one that I was really into, really geeked about, was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends back in the day. I'm a nerd of a certain age, so I definitely saw the older series where like the pointing meme comes from.
Oh, deep cut.
Yeah, but Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, I just remember being stunned at like how it felt like it expanded a version of the Marvel Universe on screen, right? Because, we all knew Spidey, but like Iceman, I knew him from reading the comics. I was a long time X-Men fan by that point. And Firestar, of course, was a new character created for the show. So it felt like, oh, wow, we're really getting like that Marvel goodness of like interconnecting characters and getting a sense that this universe is really bigger than just one character. And the one episode that sticks in my head so much is probably the one where the X-Men were featured. That was my first one.
I've seen it and it really stands out for me because it's like the first time we get to see Storm in an animated series. So that's what I remember with her.
Yeah.
The headpiece, the black and the thigh.
Yeah, her OG Dave Cockrum costume. Yeah.
Loved it. Ate it up. For me personally, it is the 90s Spider-Man. That was the one that like I grew up with, the one that I couldn't wait to watch on Saturday mornings with my bowl of cereal, getting into it. Like I loved that feel, like that, kind of derivative of the 80s, and with some special episodes, but also like still very much the 90s and modern for the time.
Yeah, that series I remember stuck out for me because it felt like that classic Marvel soap opera storyline.
Very soap opera.
A lot of the cartoons we grew up with like did not have storylines that continued from episode to episode, right? They were done in one. But that one was like, nah, you gotta tune in next week to see what happens because it's just going on and on.
Right, but it sounds like no matter when you watch Spider-Man, many common threads are included. We see Peter in school having to balance his personal and love life with his academic and superhero life. We meet his friends, family, and enemies and see how they like shape his world. There's a lot of fodder for exploration, and in the upcoming Marvel animated series, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, we not only get just that, but also get to tie all these different generations of Spider-Man stories together.
That, and we still get to see him kick some supervillain butt while also cracking a quip or two, right? Classic Spider-Man stuff. It's so cool to think that this generation will grow up with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. This will be their Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. This will be their Spectacular Spider-Man. It's going to be a really, I think, great new chapter in Spider-Man's animated series history.
History in the making of these molding of young minds. And here to tell us more about this upcoming iteration of Spidey's adventures is friend and fellow official Marvel podcast co-host Raylo, as she's joined with head writer and executive producer Jeff Trammell and supervising director Mel Zwyer.
I've got both Jeff Trammell and Mel Zwyer with me, and we are going to talk everything Spidey today. So what was it about this project that made you want to join the production team first off? It's so exciting that we're getting another animated Spider-Man series.
I'd say for me, it's just that. It's the fact that we got to do another animated Spider-Man series, but like one of our own ideas and twists and turns, and being able to pay homage to the character, but also build something new, and to work with Marvel Studios on doing something with Spidey in animation for the first time ever, were all like huge selling points for me.
Yeah, what about you, Mel?
I didn't know I was going to work on a Spider-Man.
Good.
Just someone at Marvel reached out.
And you were just like, yes.
Yeah.
Obvious.
And then when I heard it was Spider-Man, I was like a double yes.
Well, we know, Jeff, you are a big Spidey fan. In fact, I think you're inked up in Spidey characters, if I recall. You got your Spidey merch on now. And I want to hear, obviously, all about your own origin stories with the character. I'll start with Mel, though. Mel, give us a little bit on your background of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, how you came to know and love the character.
Yeah, for Spider-Man, I grew up in the 80s, and one of my favorite action figures was this tiny little, I think it was like a Mego pocket something action figure, and I had that everywhere with me. And then soon I remember having the Secret Wars action figures of Spider-Man, and I watched the original 60s animated series, and read the comics as a kid.
Yeah. And Jeff, you're obviously no stranger. We talked about this the last time I think you were on the show, but just give us a little bit more now that we're getting so much closer to your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man coming out. What does this mean for you and your Spider-Man background?
It's a literal dream. Like, as someone who grew up watching the 90s series, being such a fan of that, going back and watching the 60s series, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, like everything Spider-Man that existed. I'm pretty sure I dressed up as Spider-Man for Halloween, but I can't find any pictures, and I never will. But
someone will, Jeff.
Yeah, my enemies or my mother, one of the two. But yeah, like it's unreal to be able to say that we're working on the Spider-Man series, and we're so close to people being able to see it, and just knowing that people are gonna grow up with this, or it's gonna mean a lot to them the same way all those shows mean a lot to us. So that's really exciting for me.
Yeah, I love the way you guys are both referencing these different iterations of Spider-Man animated shows. Mel, you with the 60s, Jeff, you with the 90s, and I'm right with you there. And we'll talk about how this current show differentiates from that. But as far as, I guess, the animation style, what led you guys to where you ended up? Was there inspiration from those animated series you used to watch? I'm assuming the answer is yes, but how so?
For me, it would be yes and no. There's a lot of reference to the to the original 60s series, but I think in terms of animation style, our goal here was simply put to make a moving comic with the look of the classic Silver Age influences.
I love that you say it that way, because after all the teasers, those are the first words out of everyone's mouth. It just is a moving comic on screen. It's amazing how that came to be.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate too in that we were able to work with so many amazing comic artists like Leo Romero, Paulo, Chris Samney, just such an amazing group of people, Scott Forbes, that we're all a part of helping us create the show and find the look and iterate on it even more so. But yeah, like Mel said, it's like a moving comic, huge homage to 60s, 70s kind of style of early Silver Age Spider-Man, but as well as finding a way to modernize it, because what we didn't want it to do is feel too retro, where it was kind of off-putting to a younger audience. We want that perfect balance. And with the help of those guys and so many amazing designers and members of our staff, we've been able to do that. The funny thing is regardless of the timeline, whether it's 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, it's always rough being a teenager.
Yeah, I don't know a single teenager who's had it easy.
Yes, exactly. You're kind of worried about how you present yourself to the world around you and how people are kind of taking you in on just a regular, normal level. But on top of that, being a hero and trying to put out how you're perceived in this world where not everyone loves a hero, or not everyone's grateful for a hero always. So I think it's going to be very familiar in that you'll have those moments that we've all had of there's, the awkwardness of trying to make a new friend, or there's the awkwardness of having a crush on someone, and maybe it's reciprocated, maybe it's not. There's always those kind of core values that come with being a teenager, on top of, dealing with stopping car crashes and all the other stuff Spider-Man's got to do.
On a casual Tuesday after your bio exam.
Exactly.
Peter may be having a tough time being a teenager, but he is not without drip. Can we talk about that suit for a moment? And I promise we can edit that, Jeff. I won't say it as cheesy as that,
no,
but
I love it. I want to talk about Peter's drip. I think the idea that big hockey jersey and some track pants as drip is really cool to me as a person that only wears t-shirts and jeans every day.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, for this, we really wanted to figure out what's a fun take on the homemade suit. We've seen various homemade suits in the past. We even are able to see a few of them in the show or in the comic book, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, issue #1 on stands now. But, the big thing that we really wanted to do was like, one of the things I loved in Homecoming is how they show that like Peter's really smart. He's very good at like kind of finding things. He's a bit of a dumpster diver, but he can kind of like show off his smarts by creating things that someone might look past. It's, a true one man's trash is another man's treasure kind of thing. So being able to do something like that and implement that in his suit, where it's like, oh, he's got these like things that are his web shooters, but they're a little bulky or they might get in the way because he's still growing and learning as a hero. That stuff was really fun for us to kind of delve into.
Yeah, it's the Home Depot special.
Exactly.
Right, that's
That or I don't know, like the Michaels or Joanne special. I think
Yeah.
thread and a needle.
He's a crafter.
Now, I know for our Marvel fans, there are plenty of burgeoning comic book artists out there who want to ultimately, that's their dream goal. But I'm sure there's a lot of great animators out there and people who want to be involved in something like a Marvel animated show. Would you mind talking our listeners through, I guess, how an animated show such as Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man comes to life? Like, how is it different than filming live action?
Well, in a way, it's similar to live action where it always starts with a good story, right? That's where Jeff and his team comes in and
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And then I come in afterwards
and make it great. Yeah.
A little sparkle on top of it.
And make it better.
That's true. I won't deny that.
That's what editors are for.
How it gets done, it's by hiring the right people. I think it's not just about hiring talent, but by hiring good people and people that love the IP.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate to have such an amazing team, from our board artists who are like taking the script and really envisioning it and fleshing it out, to our design team, our background team, like editing, our incredible production staff that works so hard to like make sure that we're able to do this and get everything sent out on time. And just there's so many different stages, our vendors overseas that are helping us out. There's so much work that goes into creating a world. And that's literally what we had to do for the first season of the show, is make it feel unique and special, but also like, build in everything. There's so many things that I think we all kind of take for granted when we're watching something. We're just like, oh, okay, cool. They came up with this story. It's fun. And you're like, okay, they were meticulously like, okay, let's not have this background be this color because when this person crosses over, they'll get lost into. It's so much work, and it's so many different like conversations, but it's fun too. And the end result is incredible. Like being able to now have this show that's fully finished and we can watch it with our crew or with our voice talent or with, the world at large and see how much they hopefully enjoy it and just love the world that we've created I don't think there's anything like it.
Which we can't skip over the voice cast, by the way, because you guys brought in some big guns for this. What was the vocal recordings like? I mean, even the casting to make sure they really matched your animation style or the vision you had for the character.
For Hudson, it was easy, right? And to those out there, Hudson James, he's the voice of Spider-Man, our Spider-Man. We listened to what he did on What If, the other Marvel show.
They did all the hard work for us. And we were like, great, there's Hudson. Give him here.
Yeah, so that was the easy part.
Yeah, and it was just like, how do we build a world around Hudson?
Yeah, fair though. At least you had like a chemistry starting point, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's interesting because it's tough to try to find the right voice for the right character as we're envisioning them, but it's also fun because we're getting to like listen to all these auditions and really feel like who's speaking to us and who's really like kind of cutting through, or yes, this is exactly how I pictured this character sounding. And I'm so just blown away by our voice cast. They are so talented, and they really embody these characters in such an amazing way. We did a lot of solo records because we started recording throughout the pandemic. So a lot of our actors didn't even really get the chance to meet each other until very recently. And despite that, you would never know it watching the show because they all feel so ingrained and such great friends. It's like, oh yeah, we've known each other for years. And that's a testament to like our incredible cast, our incredible like voice director, Sarah Sherman. Like everyone is just bringing their A game at every step of the way. And I think it's made for something really special.
Was there anything that changed about any character or decisions after casting?
I mean, I think there's a certain level of swagger that Norman Osborn was always gonna have. But Coleman Domingo, you know, just it takes it to another level. He's so great and he really understands who Norman is, and his performances are all so layered in that way. It's not easy to step into a role that has had so many people before you, and the same for Hudson and the same for everyone on the show, but to like carve out your own way to make that character feel unique and really like leave your thumbprint on them. Coleman does that for sure, in my opinion, with Norman, and so many other people in our show do that. And I'm just excited for people to hear them because they really, really take it to the next level.
I love when there's someone who already embodies it on the outside,
yep.
and can just dial it up to 11 when you're like, okay, here, take it and run with it.
Yeah, and he did very much
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I was gonna say good. Okay, that's what I want to know. I'm ready to sort of just like sob and bow. Was there any part, I guess, of this whole process, because it just sounds like you had your hands in so many things, the both of you, but was there anything that was the most fun, most memorable part of this process for you?
For me, it was watching the crew reactions to.
I was going to say the same thing.
It was so enjoyable to watch them watch the animatic, and like we do it over Zoom sometimes, and the chat box is
Blowing up.
blowing up, or sometimes they'd forget to mute their mics.
Yeah. There's nothing better than watching someone watch someone else, like someone from one team watch another team's boards and be like, oh, I didn't know this was happening. Or, oh my God, this thing happened. And it's like, I thought you read the script. You didn't know this. But like, they're so in awe of everyone's like just talent and the way they bring it and the way they're just knocking it out of the park. It's honestly my favorite part because it's just, you get to see everyone continually hype each other up, and everyone just wants things to be even better and push even further and work even harder because everyone else is doing so great. And it's just really cool to see.
Yeah, it's even better when they forget to turn off the camera, right?
Yeah, and you're just watching them with their just crying.
What were the biggest creative challenges on the other side that you really faced to bring the show to life? Because I'm sure a character as historic as Spider-Man doesn't come without some roadblocks in the way, to whether it's to memorialize a character, whatever you have to do to really breathe new life into an old story.
From my point of view, it would be the technical side, right? Like Jeff would have the story side. For my side, it was hard to make a moving comic book. It looks easy and it looks simple and very almost flat and plain. But man, that was a lot of R&D, and yeah, they knocked it out of the park.
Actually, Jeff, if you don't mind, I kind of want to continue on this real quick because, yeah, you are bringing up the fact that there's a lot of things you can do in animation that you can't necessarily do in live action, but dreams and hopes you want to bring that are like 3D visually that you have to put into animation. How do you figure it out, I guess? For people like me who really don't know.
I just do it and I let Mel figure it out. But no, like I say that jokingly, but there's so much trust between us because I know that like you're saying, this is a huge character and so much has been done and there's things we want to do, but there's also things that like we want to push even further, or we want to, break ground for the first time. And I think if I didn't have a crew that I fully supported and fully supported me, it would be harder to take those leaps. But it's always like, oh, well, we can do this thing and we'll figure out how to make it work if it works for the story and if it works for the vision. And we've been very fortunate in that we've been able to continue to push and build upon that because the writing team feels so supported by everyone else.
Also, as a Runaways fan, Jeff, I'm just going to attribute to this to you. You can give credit to someone else, but Nika Minoru.
She's the best.
Thank you.
She's the best.
I am just stoked. So, I mean, to get that, you said this, I think, in one of our last episodes, something about subverting the expected in a way. And, you've got Spider-Man. Now we're bringing in all these other teenage affiliated characters that have come out since Spider-Man's inception. So it's really cool to just be able to see like those two cross-pollinate in that way. So fun.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you.
Okay, well, if there's anything else, you really want fans like yourself to take away from this, please, now is your chance to speak.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, working on this, my whole goal was to make something for the fans, both young and old. I think that's the hard part, is pleasing the older crowd that grew up with the 60s comics and the Silver Age stuff and even the 60s and 80s cartoons, and at the same time, as Jeff mentioned, not ostracizing the younger crew with no prior connections to Spider-Man. So aiming to please both camps.
Yeah, which I hope we've successfully done. I'm sure everyone will let us know. But I'm excited for people to see the show and just go on this incredible journey with us. I'm excited for people to read the comic that I mentioned a little earlier, but like Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the miniseries, written by Christos Gage, drawn by Eric Gapster. Incredible comic that ties in with the show in such a fun way. Like, we're able to work with those guys to build something that pays off the show, and the show pays off the comic in a really fun way. They're the perfect accompaniment to them. And yeah, so if you can't wait until January 29th, go out and grab these comics, let them tide you over, let them soothe you until January 29th, in which you can listen to our incredible theme and watch our incredible show. And also, Mel helped a little bit.
Quinn, I gotta tell you, I'm like beyond excited for this series. Spectacularly excited, you might say. And I'm really glad that Jeff talked a bit about Spidey supporting cast some more. I'm so excited to see Coleman Domingo's Norman Osborn, played by, I think, one of the best actors working today. Going to be really great. And we're going to see just how he fits into Peter's life.
Overall, that supporting cast is stacked. And speaking of supporting cast, in the upcoming picture book, Marvel Studios' Captain America Brave New World, A Hero Looks Like You, Sam Wilson gets support from the unlikeliest of heroes, a young boy named DJ who grows up idolizing Captain America.
Joining us for more on this is friend and official Marvel Podcast co-host Sade Spence, and the picture book's writer and illustrator Kwame Mbalia and Nicholas Smith.
So I am so thrilled to be joined today by New York Times bestselling author Kwame Mbalia and New York Times bestselling illustrator Nicholas Smith to explore the world of Captain America Brave New World. You guys have created this beautiful, heartwarming picture book. Honestly, when I looked at it, I was smiling from ear to ear. So could you both just give us a brief description of the book and what Captain America fans should expect? Take it away, Kwame.
Yeah, Captain America, Brave New World, A Hero Looks Like You is really about a boy who loves superheroes, but maybe isn't quite sure that he can be a superhero, discovers through, the observation of his favorite superhero, Captain America, that a hero isn't necessarily born or, isn't ordained. People can choose to be heroes, and the smallest act can be a heroic act.
Love that. And Nicholas, can you also explain it maybe from your illustration point of view? Give us a brief description.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having us. And I will say, I just had a blast working on this. And as I was going through Kwame's story and trying to figure out how I wanted to illustrate it, I just kept seeing this light, this shining light that the main character has, and how he has this altruism, what he wants to do with the heroic abilities that he has to work with. And so just trying to visualize that joy that he has and how really, it really is. I feel like it's a story of how everyone can be a hero. Everyone has that within them. And so just trying to put that out on paper as it matches the words.
Absolutely. A hero looks like you, okay? What drew you both to this project? And also, can you touch on, what knowledge you had of Sam Wilson before writing this book?
Yeah, so I was an Imagineer for 11 years and designing theme parks, coming up with a lot of superhero themed attractions. And at the same time, I was really wanting to illustrate a picture book for Black Panther and had the opportunity to do that. And so to be able to kind of now jump into the Captain America world for a picture book, it's just super special. And then also for it to be kind of like the MCU, Marvel Studios, kind of having this side story that is connected to a film, I think that's always special because people can enjoy the film and they can also kind of get a little side quest with the book, right? And so, for me growing up as a Black kid, looking at all these X-Men and all these other superheroes, for me it was always a pleasure to see a Black superhero with my complexion that was kicking butt and saving the day and doing all those great things. So folks like Sam Wilson, who were, in their own right, doing all the things that all the other superheroes can do and kind of bringing their own flair to it. So that's one of the things I love about just like this new Cap that the world is going to get to see on the big screen and in picture books. I think it's something that everybody needs to witness.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about who the intended audience is for these picture books, like for read alouds and story times, myself having a young son, right, who we read to every night. It was almost like a privilege and an honor to work on a book like this and to center the story around a kid who, reminds me so much of my own kid and each of my children. And knowing that when we read these stories to them and being able to work on a book like this with someone with as much talent as Nicholas has, and knowing that it's going to be in the homes of so many different people from all walks of life. And then to have Sam Wilson, Nicholas's vision and my vision of Sam Wilson on the page, being heroic, saving the day, imparting wisdom, dropping pearls of knowledge, being incredible, being Captain America. It's great.
Nicholas, can you talk a little bit about bringing the visual world of Captain America: Brave New World to life in this book?
Yeah, it was a very exciting kind of like undertaking because there's so many pieces to the Marvel universe. There's so many characters, there's so many superpowers. It's just really fun to be able to kind of draw from all of the now like over a decade of enjoying the MCU, and that was a lot of fun, just very special. And then I threw in a lot of like the different stars and stripes and different patriotic iconography and things like that are connected to Cap's suit and how that might break down as a layout of this page or different things like that, where I just wanted to kind of put those icons all throughout. The shield obviously being a huge symbol that is just all throughout it, all along like the kid's journey to being able to help save the day. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, what do you hope that kids and perhaps their parents will also take away from this book?
I want, young people to realize that even the smallest actions, again, can be heroic. You can rescue someone by saving their receipt from blowing away. Like the smallest, you never know what small act of kindness, of bravery, of courage can do for someone else. It can have a monumental ripple butterfly effect. You never know. And then on the flip side, for adults, because I always want to talk to adults as well, I want them, to realize that we can set an example for our young people, for our children, by also showing them how to do those heroic acts in front of them, because kids will always emulate what they see and they will believe what they see is possible. So we need to show them as much as possible that they can do it, and that we will be there with them as partners to help them as much as possible.
And I really, Kwame, I love that line that you have in the book where you're basically saying that, like, you know, nobody's like born a hero. Like you really have to make that choice to do a specific thing and take on that role. Like anybody, any one of us can choose today that we're going to do something heroic. And so it's kind of that idea, that philosophy that, you know, a kid or anybody, a parent, anyone can take with them in every day of their life. They can kind of take that message with them and remember that as they're doing all their day-to-day choices and making all these different decisions in life. Like you can choose today which one you're gonna go with. What are you gonna do with the superpowers that you have? You know, it's what separates the superheroes from the supervillains, right?
Yeah. What are we gonna do with what we already have? How heroic can you be? Yeah. And, you know, before we wrap up, Kwame, this is not the only thing you're working on in the Disney family. So can you talk a little bit about the new imprint?
Sure. Yeah, happy to. So I partnered with Disney to form Freedom Fire, which is a imprint celebrating Black voices, Black joy, and Black resilience in the middle grade space. We just had, we're wrapping up with 2024, our first year, 3 releases. We have 2 USA Today bestsellers. We have 7-starred reviews among the 3 books. And so it was an incredible first year and the first of many. So if you are looking for middle grade adventure, fantasy, or even short stories celebrating the power within us, then I encourage you to go out, look for Moko Magic, Jax Freeman and the Phantom Shriek, or Black Girl Power. You know, they make great holiday presents. So go ahead and get your order in now.
Yeah. Thank you both for chatting with me today. It was such a blast and so great to really dive into this picture book. Everyone, check out Captain America: Brave New World, A Hero Looks Like You on sale now.
Every comic book iteration of Captain America has seen a brave, selfless, and seemingly indestructible hero wielding the shield. Sam Wilson has taken on criminal masterminds like Baron Zemo, as well as social challenges like police brutality. While Steve Rogers has fought in World War II and stared down Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. Now talk about a flex. But both have also been very conscious of what Captain America means as a symbol. In Captain America, Man Out of Time #5, released in 2011, written by Mark Waid, time-traveling supervillain Kang the Conqueror has banished Cap in time to VJ Day. As Steve Rogers ponders the past and the future during a solo hike to the Grand Canyon, he thinks to himself, "My job is to make tomorrow's world better. Always has been." Once, long ago, I asked Bucky what purpose Captain America served outside of combat. It was a foolish question. There'll always be something to fight for, and I'll always be a soldier.
Next time on the official Marvel podcast, we continue to explore the world of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man as we chat with the voice of Spider-Man himself, Hudson Thames.
I definitely was feeling some imposter syndrome. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm stepping into this thing and I know how much this character means to people because I know how much it meant to me as a kid.
That's it for today. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening and tell a friend about us.
This episode was hosted by Quinn Lamar and myself, Evan Narcissus, featuring Ray Lowe and Sade Spence.
Our producers are Jasmine Estrada and Anita Flores,
with help from Senior Manager of Audio Production and Development, Brad Barton, and Production Manager, Emily Godfrey.
Mixed by Ry Dorsey.
Theme music by Ida Akbal.
Executive producers are Larissa Rosen and Jesse Berger.
Thanks for listening, and see you next week.